Good morning, Abhay. Good morning, Rakesh. Good morning, everyone. And we'll begin shortly. Good morning, Nitin. Good morning, Ronak. Thank you, Shivam. Good morning. Good evening, Shivam. I'm okay now. Thank you. Thanks for asking. Good evening and welcome. And good morning, Vikas. Good evening, Krati. Good evening, Gaurav Sharma. Couple of minutes and then we will start the class. Good evening, Gurudat. Good evening, Sachin Yadav. One more minute and then we'll start the session. Meanwhile, good evening, Amik Chakravarti. And so, meanwhile, people are joining and all that. Any question? Anybody has? So whatever we have covered so far in the class yesterday, class before. So does anybody has any questions? And I will be more than happy to answer any question you would have. Duration of the course is for 6 weeks. That is what we have targeted. 6 weeks. So almost we have done 1 week. So we can assume around 5 more weeks. So 6 weeks is the target. There could be some plus and minus. Sometime, some class got cancelled or whatever, but target is to finish in the 6 weeks time frame. Good evening, Prabhat Jha. So any questions, whatever we have covered in SAP, are you all getting videos of the class? Because we are video recording every session. So are you getting the videos of the class? Okay. Biswajit got it. Yeah, that is fine. Server access we'll provide, because it's only for 1 month, so we will provide server access when people are close, in the middle of the course and all that. So that way, so that is the reason. Offline, yes, videos cannot be downloaded. Yeah, that is a fact. You can only watch online. Training material you can download. So do not worry. I'm planning to upload videos on my YouTube channel. So those training videos are available to the public across the world. So what I'm planning to do when course is about to finish, I will also upload all videos on YouTube channel. So that way, people can have access, anytime. So that is I am targeting that somewhere towards the end of the course, I will upload the class videos online. Okay. Good evening, Sunny. No, PDF everybody should have, Prabhat. You don't have a PDF, Prabhat? You can email Deepti, or you can email me. Email me after the class. So everybody should have access to this. So training material is on Google Drive. So you can email me using your Gmail ID. Why Gmail ID? Because we are using Google. So using your Gmail ID, you can send it to me, and I will provide access to training material. Okay. So email it to me. I hope everybody has my email. This is my email address. So you can email it to me. I will provide access. So what I do as for the training material is concerned, so there is a Google Drive. So you might be aware this is a Google Drive. So I have all material, all different kind of materials and all that on the Google Drive. So here I have created a separate folder for SAP B1 material, and this is the SAP B1 certification material, which I have created. I think this is the one, I guess. Yeah. So that is how this is, and you can download from here, from SAP. Okay. So I will provide access to you, and so whenever you need, you don't have access, So this PDF which I'm covering, yeah, this is here. So I created here. This is the one here. So SAP B1. So this is what I have created here, and then you can. I will provide access to everybody. Okay. Okay. No, email me. I cannot make a note here. Email me, please. Okay. So this, because here in the chat I get too many chats, so I cannot. And also, Prabhat, Sai just provided you access. Please check. Sai, can you also provide to Abhay also? So Abhay.k, if you can provide access to him as well. Okay. So, yeah, welcome. Is there anybody else who don't have access to the training material? Abhay, you can email Rajendra Sai also. He will provide you access. He just provided to Prabhat, and will provide it to access to everybody else as you guys want, right? So we'll provide access to everyone. When are you sending the videos? Videos has already been sent to everyone. You should have got email, Shivam Chahan. I will ask them to send again. Okay, so they will send again email, and you will get an email about videos. So everybody should get videos, and everybody should get training material. The training material you can download. So if you want, you can also download training material if you want. So Abhay, Sai has provided you access right now, so you should have access as well. Okay. So let's continue with our discussion. You need access. So email, Satyajit, please email Satyajit Sharma. I need access. Okay, email, right? So there are 3 emails. I give it to you all. So this is dsadh@mythinky.com, Dipti at kabeerconsulting.com, and then you have Rajendra at kabeerconsulting.com. So for any of these issues, these are the 3 email IDs. Send an email right now, please. Sai is there. He will give access right now. Okay. These are the 3 email IDs. Okay. Email sent. Okay, very good. So, yeah, send an email to these 3 people. So any issues comes up, dsadh@mythinky.com, Dipti at Kabeer. Send to all the 3. Somebody will help you. And then Rajendra at kabeerconsulting.com. So these are 3 email IDs. Okay. Now we go to the next topic. Check 2 PDF and 1 doc file. Okay. Yeah, there is a 2 PDF. Okay. You got it? Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sachin. You will get it. So let's continue now. So today, we're going to talk about item master data. So what we have discussed so far, let us recap. So far, we have discussed 3 topics. Topic number 1 was an initial presentation in which we talked about what is SAP Business 1, overview, this, that. So that was our topic number 1. Okay. That is the one thing which we did. Then another thing which we have discussed so far is our purchasing process, and we have done the different purchasing process and how does the purchasing process work. And then yesterday in the class before, we have also discussed and covered our sales process. Okay, so we discussed about our sales process as well. Now we're going to talk about another topic in which we see the items and inventory. Now, items and inventory are very important for every kind of company. Inventory is important. Item is important because you are manufacturing something. So every company is buying some item, selling some item, producing some item, storing some item, warehousing some item. So the company is all about certain kind of items and services. That is why item master data is important from that perspective. So in this topic, we will talk about item master data. Item master data is also talk about service master data. Item could be whatever. Item could be finished good. Item could be raw material. Item could be maintenance item. Item could be repair item. Item could be operation type of item. Item could be service also. Many companies are service companies. So service is also an item in SAP. So we'll talk about all those different type of items. Okay, so your company manages different kind of items, and then how does that different items can be used in purchasing, sales, transactions, and all the sales and purchase transactions we have done, we are able to do all these different functions. Okay, we did that. Okay, so item master data. So item, now the keyword here is master. The keyword here is master. So we need to pay attention to that word called master record. Master. So we have seen master in 3 times. Vendor master. Customer master. Now we are talking item master. So master data, which is used repetitively. So master data which we are using repetitively, that is called master data. You are using the same material and vendor and customer again and again and again and again. That is why it is called master data. Now another thing very important here is in master data, this information because used repetitively, so we can do a data management in better way. Because you're using and storing the same data again and again and again and again and again, that helps us manage our data better. Okay, that is what the master data management come into the picture. That is where we see it. Item you purchase, manufacture, sale, keep in stock. Everything is happening about item master. You may be buying item, you may be selling item. If you have manufacturing company, you are also manufacturing item. You are also storing item. You are also doing good receipt, you are doing good issues. And then here is called each product. And the second one is called identified with a unique code. Unique. So there is a rule of unique. Every data in SAP is unique. Every data is unique. That's very important. No record ID can ever be unique. Can ever be duplicate. Now this is very important. And why this is important? Because if you're in a business, that basically means every record, every item is unique. So that basically means nothing gets duplicated, no redundancy. And from that perspective, this is extremely important. Every data is unique. And that is where we have item master and we have a unique code. You can create an item, you can make item inactive also. Now look at it here. Inactive. If you look at my screen, I go to item master. This is item master. Now I want to try to create an item. Let us say I try to create an item called FIG002, right? So I try to create this item and I select item group here. Say testing. Try to add. Now see the message in the bottom. See the message in the bottom, please. Item code FI002 already exists. So just to show you, I try to create the same record again, system will not allow. So that is called uniqueness rule. Now another thing which we talk about here is inactive. Now inactive basically means that I have an item, but that item become inactive. So for example, I go to item master and here I select my item FIG003. This is my item. Now we can create an item and we can also say inactive. See that inactive. You can also put a date from where this, what date this item is inactive, until what date this inactive. This could be permanent inactive or whatever. You can make an item inactive. This item is not being used. I'm not going to use it. Something is wrong. This material is obsolete. This material is redundant. We are not producing this product anymore. We make it inactive. Now, after inactive, I want to create a sales order. I want to go and create a sales order. I select my customer. I enter my item. Enter the quantity, enter the price, enter the date, and I save it. See the message in the bottom. See the message in the bottom. System tells me that item FI003 is inactive. How you cannot create a sales order? Why you're selling item which is obsolete? And that message comes. Unique data would be generated by the system. Yes. And you cannot duplicate that. Like in our exercise, we try to create FIG003 again. System doesn't allow. And I try to make this. I made this item an inactive item, and then try to save that sales order. I try to enter that item in the sales order. Then system doesn't pick up. And that is how the inactive item works, because item is obsolete, something is problem, we are not selling this because there's some quality issues, could be many reasons. And I go back, I go to FIG003, and after inactive, I make it active. You can make it active also. No, whatever the problem we had, those quality issues, their issues has been resolved. Now I make this active, we save it. So operation saved. After that, I want to go back and create a sales order. And then I enter the sales order. If I create it, I select my customer. I enter my item FIG003 and then enter quantity, enter the date, then I add it, save it. Now there is no problem. Now this item is no more active. Now there is no issue. Now there is no challenge. Now this item is no more inactive. So we can make item active, inactive, voice problem. What? Can you hear me? Is my voice coming to you all? Is my voice okay? My voice is okay coming to you? Do you want, okay, wonderful, thank you. Okay, so that is the exercise on item making active or item making inactive. Now, this is the structure of the item master. Look at my screen. So this is the structure of the item master. Now, what this basically means is structure of the item master. So, okay. So we go back to the item master. We go to inventory, item master, FIG002. This is item master, right? Now, if we see here, there is a general purchasing data, sales data, inventory data, planning data, production data, properties, remark, attachments. That is what you see here. General data, purchasing data, sales data, inventory data, planning data, production data, properties. So this in item master, same thing in customer master, same thing in the vendor master. All this data is structured via different tabs. So we have a different tabs. So we have general tab, we have a purchasing tab, we have a sales tab, we have inventory tab, planning tab, production tab, and each tab has information for that function. Purchasing has a data for purchasing, sales has a data for sales, inventory has a data for inventory. That is what we see here. That is what we see here. Okay. So there is a data of item for every information. There is something called item categories. You see that here. There is something called item categories. Now, what is these item categories are? Okay. So these item categories, if you see here, these are the item categories. These item categories describes, these item categories tells us what type of item it is. Is it inventory item? Is a sales item? Is a purchase item? Now pay attention, this is important. That basically means in what all functions this item can be used. Can I use this item in sales? Can I use this item in purchase? Can I use this item in inventory? Where I can use this item? So item category, inventory item you can make and sell. Service item, so based upon what kind of item category you choose, you decide in what kind of a functions you can use that item for. Can you purchase that item? Can you sell that item? Can you stock or inventory that item? And that is defined by what kind of item categories are associated to this item master. And that is what we see. These are the different item categories which are associated to it. Okay? Item categories. Then purchasing and sales tab. Let's go to the purchasing tab. This is the purchasing tab. Now there are a lot of information. Some of the information which is important. Let's look at that. What kind of information is there? Sachin, email us. Don't ping it here because I'm in the class, right? I cannot make note of all this. Email us. You have my email ID, Deepti's email ID, Science email ID. You can email them, so they will provide you access. Okay? Because I'm in the class. I cannot make note. You got it? Sachin Yadav. Okay. So here, there is a purchasing data and there is a sales data. Now, what is the meaning of that? Is we go to purchasing data. Now, this information is there for purchasing. And one of them is the preferred vendor. Yeah, you see the preferred vendor. Preferred vendor basically means from which vendor this item normally comes. You're buying this item from here. So that is the preferred vendor basically means. There is something called manufacturing catalog number. You see that field? Manufacturing catalog number. This field is important. A lot of people use it, some not. Manufacturing catalog number basically means many times when you're buying an item, those are standard manufactured items. Normally like hardware, a lot of these electronic, mechanical, engineering kind of items. They are standard items. When you buy them, they have a standard catalog and you choose that catalog number and you select that item from that catalog. Okay. Then on the sales view, you have a unit of measure. You can also define length, width, height, volume, weight, and all that. So all those different things you can define. Another thing which you can do here is if you go to purchasing, and there is also update here. So if you see here, and if I right click, you can also see some of the reports, analytics as well. You see that here? Related activities, inventory posting, inventory audit report, inventory status, and all those different things we can mention here. So for example, if you go to inventory posting list, you can see that for this item, what kind of inventory postings we have done, because we have used this item in our sales and purchase transactions. So all those different transactions has been carried out. So you know like how many, PD means normally purchase orders, DN means delivery, sales order, credit notes, different documents which you've done. So all those different documents we have done so far. Okay. That is what this basically means. Okay. Same thing if you go to sales tab, here also you can see some related activity, business partner catalog number. In some of these reports, purchase request report, if there is any purchase request, no data found, there is no open purchase request. I want to see, inventory audit report. This is inventory audit report. So all these different, some of these reports you can run. Now there is something called inventory data and stock levels. Yeah. Now here, if you look at it, this is inventory data. This is inventory data. In the inventory data, if you look at it, we have all this information. There is something called GL set by warehouse. We'll talk about what this basically means. Unit of measure, weight. Then how many warehouses are there? So there are a total of 9 warehouses. And then each warehouse, what are the different inventory? We have looked at this screen multiple times. So, and we have discussed that in the past as well, that what is in stock, what is committed, what is ordered, what is available. This is called 4-dimensional view of inventory. So this is called 4-dimensional view of inventory. Okay, that is what this basically means. Okay, 4-dimensional view of inventory. That is what we see here. How much is in stock, how much is committed, how much is ordered, how much is available. 4-dimensional view of inventory. This warehouse, this much. This warehouse, this much. This warehouse, this much. This warehouse, this much. That is what we see here. Okay. So that is why should I had question was asked. No, that is fine. Thank you, Sai, for giving access. Now let's continue. Then we have a planning data. So we have something called planning data. Okay. So here we have a planning data. Now if you see here, there is a planning data. You see the planning data. In SAP, there is also something called material requirement planning. We have that topic. We will discuss that topic. Now here, there are some of the information. There are many fields, some of the important ones. You see the planning method. You see the MRP or none. MRP stands for material requirement planning. That basically means whether we are doing MRP for this material or not. Now there is another interesting field that's called procurement method. And there are 2 choices, buy and make. Buy, either this item is purchased item or this item is a manufactured item. I'm going to manufacture this item or I'm going to purchase this item. And then there are several other. How much the minimum order quantity, MOQ, what is my lead time. So some of these fields which we see on the planning tab, they are being used for the purpose of performing material requirement planning. We have a separate topic in this PDF focused only on planning. We have not done that yet. We will do. Okay. There is something called, there is a production tab. So there are 2 different things. So there is a planning and there is a production. Planning is for material requirement planning, and production is being used to carry out the production functions. Now, in the production function, there is something called issue method, backflush or manual. Backflush or manual. So if we go back here, we have a backflush and manual. Okay. So we're gonna use this something called backflush and manual. What does this basically mean? Backflush. So what is the backflush basically means? So in the backflush or issue method, we have something called how we're going to issue this material. So we can issue the material in two different ways, either using with the backflush or using manual. I will let you guys to make a note of it. What is this field basically means? Sometimes it's confusing. So take pen and paper. Issue method is how material is being issued to production. From warehouse. There are two choices. Backflush means automatically based on quantity in bill of material. We're going to do this exercise as well. We're going to create a production order, but make a note of it. And then we also have, and then we'll talk about what is the mix. Okay. Then we have a manual. Manual basically means user decide quantity to be issued to production from warehouse. Make a note of this, please. Okay. Make a note of this. And when we are doing production, that time we're going to talk about. There's a whole production topic which we have to do. So we have not done yet the production. We're going to do production module. We're going to do planning module. And among all these modules, we will discuss them. Okay. BOM basically means bill of material. BOM basically means bill of material. Okay. When you do the production, we create a bill of material. So we're going to create bill of material also. We're going to talk about bill of material also. So start reading. A lot of stuff going to come in front of you. Okay. A lot of material coming. There is also something called item properties. There are item properties. 64 properties can be defined for reporting, for marketing, for pricing, etc. Now, what does that basically mean? If you look at it, there's a properties. You see that property 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 24. If I go scroll down in the bottom, item property 64. These item property basically is like a free fields or available field And with using this item properties, we can define the properties of the items. So we can define properties of the item. That is what item properties is about. That is what item property is about. So we do item property. They're free field. This item property could be whatever we want. Item property could be color of the item, dimension of the item, and this item. Every material has certain properties. So you can define 64 properties as per your choice. So that is what we have, item property. Summary, we talked about all these different item master data and all that. Okay. Defining item groups. Now, what does that basically mean? Item groups. So there are two things, item and item groups. Item means material master. Item groups basically means group of items. So if you look at my screen here, there is an item group. You see that item group. This item group field, and if you go to drop down, you can have a different kind of item group. You can define whatever you want. Like finished good and PCs and potato chips and rainbow printers and raw material, sample, semi-finished, service, item, storage, transformer, whatever. So these item groups could be whatever. So there could be different type of item groups which we can have in SAP. These are called item groups in SAP. That is what we can do, item groups. In SAP, you can run the report by item groups. You can create an item group. You can define a new item master. We're going to do that. We're going to do this exercise. So we want to create item groups. We want to create an item. You can define as many items as you want. You can define as many item groups you want. Means you can define. You shouldn't define too many though. Means there has to be some logical, connection. You cannot have like a 10,000 item group. That doesn't make any sense. So item groups you can define as many as you want, but there has to be a logical grouping which make more sense. Now, if you see here, there is reporting. One of the primary purpose of item groups is reporting. You report by item groups. You would like to know, this is just an example, okay, how many finished goods? How many semi-finished? How many raw materials? How many packaging items? How many PCs? How many printers? How many boxes? Whatever. So different kind of item groups you can have. Item group is extensively can be used for the purpose of reporting. Because people would like to know how many finished goods I have, how many raw material I have, how many semi-finished I have, how many packaging item I have, how many boxes kind of item we have. And you could have a grouping whatever way you want. Every company is different. Every company's items are different. So that's why it is used for reporting. So item group is what? Group similar items together. All finished good, one group. All raw material, one group. All semi-finished, one group. All packaging item, one group. So it's a categorization of product lines and you can group them for the purpose of selling, purchasing, procurement, reporting, analytic purposes. Okay, so that is what this basically means. What is the advantage of item group? So one of the primary advantage is reporting, analytics, analysis. And you can do, if you see here, let me show you. If you go to SAP, and so for example, I want to go to sales. Yeah, I want to do sales reporting. I want to do, let's say, sales analysis. Yeah. Now, if I want to sales analysis, and one of the parameters here is, you see that item groups. So I want to go to this is customer group. This is item group. I want to do item group FG. So how many FG I have? So I want to sales analysis by FG. This is only FG. This is the analysis of FG. So this item, this is my quantity, this is my sales amount, this is my gross profit percentage. I want to do it other groups, for example. So I check, let us say, whatever that, FG epoxy, whatever that means. Nothing, no sale. And one more thing, we talked about this grouping in item master called item group. We talked about this grouping in customer called customer group. We talked about this grouping in the vendor called vendor group. So this grouping is there on all the three master data in items, customers, and vendors. And purpose is similar. Classification, reporting, analytics, logical segregation, logical grouping. So that is what we see all that. Sales analysis. If I go to purchasing, if I go to purchase and I go to purchase order, if I want to do purchase analysis, and here I can do select my item, I can select by item, I want to select my item group. So what is my purchase analysis and what we can do? So we have here all the report, purchase analysis by item group. That is what item group advantages. And not only item group, also customer group, also vendor group. Item groups are assigned in item master. If you go to item master, if I go to items, this is item master data. And here we have a group. If I'm creating an item, you can assign. Every item is assigned to a group. So let us say I select this item. This item is assigned to the group JB printer. It's a printer group. How many printers I have? There's one group. I select another item. And then if I go and select some item, okay, I select an item called rubber. We are using some rubber, and that is item group raw material. So every item is assigned to an item group. That's what we see here. Item group defaults. Now this is interesting. Item group defaults. This is interesting phenomenon. What is this item group defaults? So now let's understand this. Item group defaults. So I go to item master and here we have item groups, right? And let us say I select an item FIG002 that is assigned to this item group. Now look at my screen. If I click on this arrow, this yellow arrow, now here in this item group, this is important. I have certain defaults. I have a default planning method MRP, procurement type buy. I have a default valuation class. I have a different accounting here. These are the different general ledgers. This is important. Remember, we did a lot of sales purchase transactions. We have looked at it at different transactions. And we saw there is debit this, credit this. From where this debit and credit come from? There are many places, but one of the places this debit and credit comes is item groups. All these accounts. And these are the defaults. So item group defaults various parameters. So it is also an important configuration point. Item group defaults. So it is automatically shown in the item group. Yes, when you have this in item group, when you create material with this group, these values default into item master from the group. That is what it means. So whatever defaults we have, they come. So for example, let us say I have FG, right? In FG we have MRP, we have buy, we can put some lead time, 2 days, whatever. So what is it basically means? When you're creating an item master with this group, this value automatically defaults. And they come to SAP transactions from the master data. So how the data flow happens? So from configuration data goes to master data goes to transaction data, and transaction data goes to reporting. That is the flow. Make a note of that. That is how the data flows in SAP and most ERPs. This is global data flow in SAP or any global ERP for that matter. Is a transaction data, master data, transaction data. Item group is an example of configuration data. Item master, vendor master, customer master is an example of master data. Sales order, sales quotation, purchase quotation, invoice, customer invoice, example of a transaction data. and then we do the reporting on the basis of this data. That is what this basically means. Configuration data, master data, transaction data, reporting data. Reporting by item group. This is sales analysis. This is the report I showed you. You can do different grouping actually. Sales analysis, purchase analysis, this item group, vendor group, customer group comes many places. So this grouping is one of the important parameters for the reporting purposes. Search function for an item. You can search this item everywhere. You go to item master, you put a star, hit enter, you can search. You get a list of items. You see that list of items. List of items. You can search this also in all transactions. So let's say I'm creating a sales order or purchase order or any transaction, and I want to go back and enter the material. I can search there as well. So there is this button, and we can search here also. We get a list of items. You can type here as well. You can type, system automatically shortlist. Okay. So we can have all these different items. Okay. Summary. This is what we have discussed. So let us do an exercise. Let's create an item. Okay. So let's create an item. So I go back to the material. I go to item master. And then we control A, because when you do control A, then it go to add more. So by default, when you go to item master, then it is not in change mode. Yeah? You see that here? And you click this button. You see this click button? This is add. Okay. You click this button. This is add button. Let me show you what I'm saying. So we go to item master. Many times this is confusing. You find a card, and if you see here, there is an add button here. And if you go to add button, if I want to select this item, FIG 01, okay, I select a material and we call it finish good. This is automotive component. I have a unit of measure. Each. Who is my preferred vendor? I go to sales data for sales unit of measure, purchase unit of measure. I go to planning data. You see that 2 days coming now? You see the 2 days? This 2 days is coming because of the item group I entered 2 days, if you remember. And then planning method MRP, procurement method buy. Then we production and we keep it back flush and we add it. Now what happened? See the message in the bottom. FIG01 created successfully. So what happened? we are able to create a material automatically. So we are able to create a material automatically. That is what we are able to do. FIG01 created successfully. If I want to go back and search this item, FIG01 comes up. Now in FIG01, I take this item, sales item out and I update. And then I try to create a sales order. So I'm creating a sales order. FIG01. FIG01 doesn't come. It doesn't come. It doesn't come. I say cancel, cancel. Then I go to inventory, item master data, FIG01. I put my sales item, indicator, item category again. I update the button. I hit enter. Then I go to sales tab. FIG01. Now it comes. Because now I enable that sales item category. Now system understands that this is a sales item. And because this is a sales item, that is why this comes. That is what the sales item category do. If I go back to the inventory item, FIG01, and I take the purchasing tab off, I update, and then I go to purchase order. I go to FI01, doesn't come. FI01 is not there in drop down. That item is not recommended. We hit enter. Okay. Now we hit cancel. We hit cancel. We go to inventory item. We go to item master. I go to FIG01. I hit purchasing button. I hit update. I hit OK. And after that, if I go back to the purchase order or purchasing any purchasing transaction for that matter, FIG01 automatic component is fine. That is what item categories does. That is the function of item category. This is the function of item category. Reporting data, yeah, reporting data basically means list of, these are reporting data, right? List of report, list of sales orders. It's reporting data. Okay. We did a list of purchase orders, list of sales orders, list of quotations, list of this. These are all reporting data. Okay. So these are some of the exercises. We did some reports also. We created item also. We look at item categories. Now we go to the next topic and the last topic for today. So the good news, this is the last topic. And then for today, last topic only for today. So don't be over happy, slightly happy, not over happy. Last topic for today. Then chutti for today. So we'll do unit of measure overview. Unit of measure. Every item, when you create, you assign unit of measure to an item. So you assign unit of measure to an item. That is what we do. Okay. And we can define different unit of measure. There are different unit of measure in the system. And this unit of measure is very important. You can assign a unit of measure to an item, the relationship with a different unit of measure, conversion rule. Now, if you look at the screen, if I go to my material master, for example, so I go back to the item master, for example. If you look at the item master, and any item master for that matter. Okay. Now, for purchasing, there is a unit of measure. For sales, there is a unit of measure. For inventory, there is a unit of measure. The unit of measure is defined in the item master for the sales, purchase, inventory, warehousing, etc. Unit of measure define how the material would be measured. So in SAP, you can have a unit of measure for purchasing. You can have a unit of measure for sales. You can have a unit of measure for warehousing. That is why if we look at it here, this is a unit of measure for inventory and warehousing. This is a unit of measure for sales. This is a unit of measure for purchase. So there is a unit of measure for sales, for purchase, for inventory. So for all these different functions, there is a unit of measure. And it's mandatory. And if you see here, look at very carefully. It is possible that you can have a different unit of measure. Yeah. So let's say I'm buying the material in carton or in pallets. I'm selling the material in a pack, a small pack, 6-pack. These are basic unit of measure. You may be buying and selling and warehousing in different unit measures. You see that here? In warehousing you're doing in pack. Purchasing you might be doing in carton or in pallets. Selling you may be doing in the group of 6-packs or a small pack or pack. So number one, there is a unit of measure. Number two, there is a unit measure for purchase, there is a unit of measure for sales, there is a unit of measure for warehousing. All these unit of measure could be same, and all these unit of measure can be different. Both possibilities are there. So here, when you assign an item master, you assign a unit of measurement group. What does this basically mean? Unit of measurement group. Let's understand this, okay? So I'm creating an item, and let's say I create item master. In this item master, I go to this, you see that here, new. So I want to go to add, so it opens. I go to FIG, FIG02, and I'm buying A4 size paper. So we are buying A4 size paper. In item group, I select, you see that all these different item groups are there. Manual, PC, packaging, all these. You can choose the way, whatever you want. This is item group. So it is a finished good. Now apart below item group, we have a unit of measure group. You see that UM group. Look at carefully, UM group. If you go to UF group, we have a UF group and there are box, bottles, whatever. I select, let us say, paper. Because this is A size paper. We are buying, let us say, A4 size paper. And unit of measure, we selected paper. Now, if I click on this yellow button, then what happens? This is what happens. So it tells me that my base unit of measure is pack. You see that? Pack. A small pack equals to 1 unit of pack. 6 pack equals to 6 into 1 pack, so 6 pack. Carton basically means 24 packs. Pallet basically means 48 packs. So that is what this group definition basically means. Okay. That is what the group definition basically means. Now let's understand this, and that is what you see here. Pack, small pack, 6 pack, carton, pallet. Pack, small pack, 6 pack, carton, pallet. And their conversion. That is what you see. Unit of measure group is paper. This unit of measure group, you can define as many as you want. Pack, small pack, 6 pack, carton, pallet is just an example. You can define more. You can define different unit measure group also. So you can have as many. Group definition is already created in SAP. Some of them are yes. Then you can define your own. And that is what you see. 1 unit of measure can be assigned to multiple items. So I have a unit of measure called paper. And this unit of measure called paper can be assigned to A4 size printer white, can also be assigned to the printer paper A4 yellow, can also be assigned to the printer A4 recycled. So 1 unit of measure, 1 unit of measure group can be assigned to multiple item master data also. So you can define to as many as item masters as possible. Okay. How does the conversion and all that works? Okay, so let's do this exercise. So I have this item FIG02 This is A4 size printed paper. I select unit of measure as paper, and I go to purchasing, and then in purchasing I say, okay, I'm buying from let us say vendor Acme Associates, and then unit of measure, let's say I'm buying this material in pallets. And now see here, when I select the pallet, system automatically says, okay, this pallet equals to 44 pack. It automatically, this conversion automatically comes. Then I go to sales data, then I can select sales data also, and then say, when I'm selling it in carton, for example. So I'm buying in pallets, I'm selling in cartons, and I'm storing in pack. Pack is the lowest denominator. Normally, you store in lowest denominator. So let us see what I've done. Look at carefully. So unit of measure group. So this is item FIG02, A4 size paper. Unit of measure group called paper. I go to purchasing data here. In that I select purchasing unit of code pallet. I'm selling in cartons. One carton equals to 24 pack. One pallet equals to 48 pack. And then when I'm keeping in a warehouse, I'm keeping it in pack. So this is an example of how you can have a multiple unit of measure assigned to material. Now I add it. See the message in the bottom? FIG02 created successfully. Now I want to create a, let us say, purchase order. So I go to purchase order. I select a vendor. I enter the item FIG02 and I select 100 quantity. Now see here, what is the unit of measure? Pallet. Comes pallet. And why it comes pallet? Because that is what I have entered. So system automatically select my unit of measure pallet. And I add. And I add. So create a purchase order. Okay. Now after creating this purchase order, now if I want to go to item master, if I go to FIG02, this is my A4 size paper. I select my inventory data. Now what we see here, ordered is 2,400 packs. Why that is the case? Because I put 100 pallet. One pallet equals to 48. 48 into 100. 48 into 100 become 4,800. So ordered quantity become 4,800. And this is the unit of measure become pack. So inventory in pack. For purchasing in pallet. Now we want to go to sales. So now we want to go to sales. Then see what happens. So we go to sales. We go to sales. We select our customer. We select our item FIG02 A4 size. I select 10 pieces. Okay. And I scroll on the right hand side. And what is my unit of measure? Cart. Cart. So selling in carton, purchasing in pallet, inventory in packs, and I add it. Delivery date, then you save it. After that, we go to the next button. After that, we go to item master, F5G02. We go to inventory data. What we see? Committed is 2,240. Why 240? Because I put it 10, quantity 10, 10 into 24 is in pallet. So my committed is 240 packs, ordered is 4,800 packs, and available is ordered minus committed, which is 4,800 minus 240 become 4,560. So that is how you can work with the alternative unit of measure. And I have a good news. What is the good news? समाचार समाप्त हुए. News is over. Talk to you tomorrow. Thank you guys. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place, same channel. All India Radio. Thank you. Bye guys.